afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a beautiful sunny day here in Daytona Beach, Florida, as we continue on Speed Weeks here for Season 7 of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. Today, we are getting set for Pole Day qualifying, in which we will determine the front row for the Great American Race, and as consequence, will also set the starting grids for tomorrow's Can-Am dual races. We are going to basically have 30 minutes of practice or of qualifying here today. Drivers are allowed to get on track for as often as they want to, and whoever lays down the 2 fastest lap times when this session comes to a completion, they will be starting on the front row for this season's Great American Race. So definitely these drivers are going to want to all come out in a group together, because probably more than likely our front row is going to be determined by a draft lap, and probably will be a driver that comes out in a big group and is the last car in said group, because that's where you get a lot of the speed, a lot of the draft, and as consequence end up laying down really fast lap times. So let us get to our first driver on track, see if we can give you guys a little bit of a rundown of all the drivers here that will be taking part in this season's Daytona 500, and we'll try and get all 42 cars for you and all 42 drivers to introduce them to you during the course of this qualifying session. We're looking here at RJ Reynolds. Reynolds was in a Ford last year for Hersheys Racing Tech. Reynolds ended up also being the only rookie. He made history as the only rookie to ever make it into the Final Four to compete for a Hersheys Cup Series championship. He finished out the season 3rd in the point standings with 1 win, 5 top 5s, 5 top 10s, 20 points back he was of the eventual champion Brooke Allen, but certainly a big rookie season to build off of, and now over with a Toyota team, the only Toyota team in the field with Hersheys Racing Tech. He's got 2 teammates he'll be able to work with during the course of this season, but we'll see how Toyota can do, because Toyota went all last season without a trip to victory lane, albeit there were only 2 Toyotas in the field at the time. But we'll see what Reynolds does, coming off a really good rookie season, and boy, he just got the wall right there trying to get to the outside of JT Bryant. Bryant didn't exactly yield very much space to his KFC Toyota Camry. We'll focus on JT Bryant here, as he's just ahead of the 97. Bryant running a throwback scheme back to the days of the IMRC Lights Series. That was a great online series, and Bryant was the driver of the 99 Hawaiian Punch Ford for Baker Gardner Motorsports, running a scheme that is a throwback to that moment. And certainly looking for a much better season than he had last year is JT Bryant. Bryant last year finished the season out 30th in the point standings, only 3 top 5s. And this is the guy that back, I think it was in Season 2, was actually in the playoffs competing for the championship. So, yeah, JT Bryant certainly looking for a much better year this year. And Young Motorsports got off to a good start in last night's clash with his team owner Dylan Young going to victory lane in that event. Seth Cole makes his return to the Hersheys Cup Series. We haven't seen Seth Cole since Season 4, when he was a non-charter driver for Furniture Row Racing, when he drove the number 79 Interstate Batteries Toyota Camry. Now reunited with his Twinix Racing brethren. Seth Cole in on the charter formerly owned by Alex Drayden, who last season was a 2-time winner. Seth Cole number 98 this season, sponsored by Beyond Two Souls and PlayStation 4. Let's see what Seth Cole can do. This is the first time, I think, that he has run a full season as a chartered ride. Might have to go back to Season 1 or 2, maybe, that he might have had a chartered full-time season, but I don't recall. Johnny Gardner, the number 7, finished out last year with at least 1 trip to victory lane, but wasn't exactly the best of seasons for him, though. Finished 33rd in the point standings. So Gardner certainly looking for a bit of a bounce back here this year. Johnny Gardner, that number 7, sponsored by K-Love as his primary. And Gardner, his win last year ended up finishing off a long winless streak for him. He certainly would like to not have a long winless streak again before he finds his next trip to victory lane. I mentioned Dylan Young won the clash last night. Finishing right behind him in second was Keith Batson. Batson in a single car team for KAB Racing Enterprises this year. His teammate last year, Kat Batson, lost her charter. She now run full-time this season in the Pizza Deck Series. But we'll have to see. I mean, there's a couple of teams that were two-car teams last year that have now dwindled down to single-car race teams. We're going to have to see if maybe having just one car to focus on, if dwindling all the resources into one car might make it better performing. Keith Batson last year, though, did not have an ideal year. 36th in the point standings, 5 top 5s, 8 top 10s. He hasn't won since his very first win back in Season 5 at Kansas Speedway. Anthony McCrory, now with the new team of Kyotech Racing. McCrory taking on the role of team owner after Seth Cole moved to Tweenix Racing and Cole Baker moved over to Fitzwater Australia Racing. Anthony McCrory now the team owner of the 61, 44, and 72, and Kyotech Racing makes its return back on this channel. McCrory, the inaugural Hersheys Cup Series champion, and now looking to see if he can start on the pole position for the Daytona 500. McCrory last season in the Great American Race qualified in the 14th position, so you know, he was mid-pack. We'll see if he can improve on that this year. And another former champion right behind him, Chris Dodd. Now, this is a swan song season for our Season 4 Hersheys Cup Series champ in more ways than one. Not only has Chris Dodd announced this would be his last season running the Hersheys Cup Series, but also his team, CJ Racing, will be closing its doors at the season's completion, which means that Chris Dollerton, Kev Shearer, and Tim Walsh will all be looking for new teams to call home next season. So Chris Dodd driving the number 8 this year, sponsored by Lay's Sour Cream and Onion Chips. He's certainly looking to try and get himself back to Daytona victory lane, as he is a former Daytona 500 winner back in Season 5. Just got by Seth Cole. John Arndt, the 05 out of Flying Aces Racing, who had, I guess we could say, a pretty good season last year overall as a team. John Arndt finished out the year 10th in the point standings with 2 trips to victory lane. It was his first multi-win season of his career, and made it into, I believe it was round 2 of the playoffs before he was eliminated. But John Arndt coming in this season and looking really good is that 05 car with the Reddit colors on his Chevrolet Camaro. We'll see what he can do here. Certainly last year was a career year for John Arndt. A couple of cars bypassing him there. Emmanuel Hartnett, another of the teams that had 2 drivers last year. This year only a single car team with his National Guard number 20. Emmanuel Hartnett's been riding a long winless streak. Hasn't won since, I think, back in Season 4. So Hartnett certainly looking to go back to victory lane. Of course, had that very interesting mechanical problem in last night's clash when he was leading the race and then just slowed up, lost all power going to turn 1, caused a really big wreck on lap 3. So Emmanuel Hartnett certainly looking to bounce back from that here as we continue on Speed Weeks here, heading towards the Daytona 500. Side-by-side battle here between a couple of drivers, a Ford and a Chevy. We'll start with the Chevy driver, Kev Shearer. Nutella and Ruby Tuesday, the sponsorship on his machine as he moves from the 34 over to the 80. Kev Shearer in his 3rd full-time season with CJ Racing, and like we mentioned, that team will be closing up at the end of the season. Kev Shearer last year found victory lane at Rio de Janeiro very early on in the season, did not go to victory lane for the remainder of the year. He did manage to make it into the playoffs, but was eliminated in the first round. Shearer with 1 win, 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and we had trouble apparently over here into turn 1. I don't know who that involved. Our NNSCRA split cam will hopefully be able to show you guys. But Kev Shearer certainly looking to bounce back. He's never had a multi-win season. Kev Shearer has had 3 career wins in the Hersheys Cup Series, but they've all taken place in 3 different years. Got a nice group of cars back here. Charles Sanford, who ironically enough was the inaugural Daytona 500 pole sitter all the way back in Season 1. So Charles Sanford looking to be a 2-time Daytona 500 pole sitter. He was the only one of the Retro Racing Enterprises cars that made it into the playoffs last year, as he finished the year out with a win, 5 top 5s, 13 top 10s, 11th overall in the point standings. So Sanford certainly looking to do a lot better this year, as I believe the year before he was actually in the Final 4 competing for the championship. I believe Scott Roush was up at the top of our speed charts when we were near the beginning of this qualifying session. He's now dropped down to the 7th position, but Scott Roush finished runner-up in the Pizza Hut X Series chase for the championship last year. He's one of 4 drivers that is representing the rookie class this season. One of the rookies out of Kev Shearer Racing Tech. We saw his teammate RJ Reynolds just a few moments ago at the beginning of this session. Sponsored by Sharpie on his Toyota Camry. Scott Roush last year 2 wins, 4 top 5s, 9 top 10s in his Pizza Hut X Series season. Charles Sanford flanked by a couple of Kev Shearer Racing Tech Toyotas. There's the other rookie for the Toyota team, Jordan Lopez, bringing Asus as his sponsor from the Pizza Hut X Series up here to the Hersheys Cup Series, the number 79. Now, Jordan Lopez, he is a rookie this year, but this is not going to be his first time running in a chartered race in the Hersheys Cup Series. Lopez ended up making, I believe it was 3 starts total. Let me look and see for absolute certain. No, I'm sorry, 7 starts in the Hersheys Cup Series charter system, which is below the required 10 in order to be a rookie. So Lopez still is a rookie. His best finish was back in season 4 at Phoenix International Raceway, where he finished in the 4th position. Driver that was a rookie last year, Benny Watson. We called him the rookie sensation of domination. Why? Well, he only went and tied Dylan Pote for most wins in a single season at 4. Watson ended up finishing out the season as well, 14th in the point standings, 4 wins, 8 top 5s, 12 top 10s, 2 poles, and that was as a rookie. Now that he's got a full season under his belt, we'll have to see what the former Pizza Hut X Series champion will be able to do. To his outside is the 51 of James McLeod. That's a driver that would certainly like to have a comeback year. He's now right at the moment 2nd on the speed charts, only to Levi McIntyre. McLeod last season finished out the year 34th in the point standings, 6 top 5s, 9 top 10s, and did not find victory lane. McLeod has not been to victory lane since, I believe, season 4 when he was a 2-time winner. So it's been a long winless streak for the number 51 team. Just ahead of him, Cole Baker. Still in the 18, still in a Chevrolet, but he's driving for a new team this season, moving over to Fitzwater Australia Racing after being with Seth Cole Baker Motorsports for the last 3 or 4 seasons. We'll have to see what Cole Baker is going to be able to do here now, moving over with a new team. And bear in mind, the team he's driving for ended up having the pole sitter for last year's Daytona 500, Zachary Fitzwater. So we'll see if Cole Baker can maybe have back-to-back seasons where an FAR machine starts on the pole. We've got Dodges in the field this season for the first time since I think back to season 3, maybe season 2. When Young Motorsports drove Dodge Darts. But Dallas McIntosh, the defending Daytona 500 winner, driving a Dodge Charger this year for Sega Motorsports. We'll have to see how McIntosh does. Last year, McIntosh won the Daytona 500, and he did it after starting the Great American Race from the 13th position. So, you know, just the old adage, it's not where you start, it's where you finish, and we'll see what McIntosh can do when the Great American Race rolls around once again, see if he can maybe be a back-to-back Daytona 500 winner. Right behind him, Joshua Osborne, the number 27, one of 4 rookies in this season. We've already been introduced to 2 of them. This is another one here. And Osborne actually has a little bit of a moniker coming into this race. He is the only driver in the rookie class that actually has a Hersheys Cup Series win. Osborne has 8 career starts in the Hersheys Cup Series, and he took the checkered flag back in Season 3 at the road course of Yas Marina Circus. So Joshua Osborne certainly, I think, has got to be one of the favorites when you consider him against the rest of the rookie class, but we'll have to see how he does. Osborne moving up from the Pizza Hut X Series last year, where he had 2 wins, 4 top 5s, and 7 top 10s, and finished 4th overall in the point standings. Levi McIntyre sitting on pit road. Right now, he would be your current pole sitter for the Daytona 500. Trying to see if they can make that car a little bit faster. Teammates running nose to tail here. The Retro Racing Enterprises Chevrolets, Kyle Matthews in the 09, Jessica Shelton in the 02. Let's start with Shelton, 2-time winner last season, although certainly those 2 wins did not reflect the remainder of the year for Shelton, as she ended up finishing out the year 39th in the point stands, ended up losing her charter, but then with the 33 team of Joshua Collard closing up, that charter was then given over to Shelton to be able to run this season. So Jessica Shelton you know, she was able to find victory lane multiple times last year, but just did not finish out the season the way that she needed to. So obviously they're looking to bounce back in that regard. Kyle Matthews, the 09, a former Daytona 500 winner back in, I believe it was season 3. Matthews trying to become a two-time Daytona 500 winner, and another driver who struggled last year. Matthews finished out last season in the 26th position in points, and only one top 5 finish to his credit last year. Matthews, of course, a former champion as well in the Hersheys Cup Series, so definitely looking to bounce back is Kyle Matthews, and pretty much, I guess, just the whole Retro Racing Enterprises team as a whole. You're looking at last year's pole sitter. Zachary Fitzwater sat on the pole 1 year ago, and Fitzwater trying to make it back-to-back seasons. Right now he's 6th fastest on the charts, but trying to get a little bit more speed out of that Chevrolet. Fitzwater last year finished 8th in the point standings with 1 win, 4 top 5s, and 15 top 10s, second highest in top 10s, only to Joseph Srigley, who had 16 top 10s. As we look here at Cody Lamas, he's back in the Hersheys Cup Series. Lamas, the defending Pizza Hut X Series champion last year, after losing his charter back in Season 5, had to move down to the Pizza Hut X Series, and then went on to win the championship to make his way back up here to the Hersheys Cup Series. He's one of 3 Pizza Hut X Series champions that are up in this field. The only one that's not up here this year is Elijah Gilbert. He moved back down to the Pizza Hut X Series for this upcoming season. Jake Baskinger, this is the last year we'll see him driving for Flying Aces Racing, as he's announced he'll be moving on to a new team next year. Baskinger last season was the best of the Flying Aces Racing cars, although all 3 managed to make the playoffs. Baskinger was in the hunt for the championship in the Final 4, but did not win the championship. 22 points back, finished 4th overall in the standings with 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 10 top 10s. Talk about a career year, that's what Daniel Voiles had last year, winning back-to-back races en route to a 3-win season. Daniel Voiles got career win number 1, 2, and 3 last year when he drove a Hyundai Sonata, I believe it was. Now he's in a Ford Fusion for World NOS Racing, but Voiles finished out the season 9th in the point standings, 3 wins, 6 top 5s, and 11 top 10s. Undoubtedly, best year of his career. We'll see when he can build off of that in the Jelly Belly sponsored Ford. Tim Walsh was another driver that actually had a bit of a career year as well. Up to the point of last season, Tim Walsh had only had a single win season. Tim Walsh last year, though, finished the year out 7th in the point standings with 2 wins, 8 top 5s, 10 top 10s, and who will ever forget that shot clock cheese win he got to move on to the round of 12 when he took the checkered flag at the elimination race of Indianapolis. Trent Dunham, we know his love for Daytona, well, at least the Daytona 500. He doesn't have any love for the Daytona 500, let's put it that way. Last year, he ended up finishing 34th, DNF'd out of the race. Now, Trent Dunham, however, does not really fare well here in qualifying either. Last year, qualified 31st, and right now, he is 35th on the speed charts. But Trent Dunham, a former Hersheys Cup Series champion back in Season 5, and of course last year was in the Final 4 to compete for the championship, came up 7 points short to the eventual champion Brooke Allen, trying to become a multi-champion in the Hersheys Cup Series. Was very close, and he is the second and final Dodge in this field. We saw his teammate Dallas McIntosh just a little while ago. Kyle Keith, number 29 for Full Frontal Motorsports. They changed their name this year, formerly William Brock Motorsports. Kyle Keith, very good at the super speedways, so we'll definitely keep our eyes on him in the Great American Race. Right now, 16th on the chart for Kyle Keith. He finished out last year 24th in the point standings, 4 top 5s and 12 top 10s, looking to get back to victory lane in the Hersheys Cup Series. And I thought last year we would find him in victory lane, just never happened. I would say this season, look for him to very likely be able to find victory lane, especially when you come to the super speedways. That's where he always seems to be at his best. Cody Smart, another representative out of Young Motorsports, back for, I believe this is his 3rd full-time season with the team. Cody Smart finished last year 32nd in points, 3 top 5s, 10 top 10s, and a pole position. And bear in mind, Cody Smart, back when we had the non-charter system, he had 3 wins in the non-charter league. So this is a team that definitely can win. We just haven't really seen that race-winning caliber out of him for the last couple of seasons. Well, we mentioned Dylan Young got the win in the Clash yesterday, so maybe Young Motorsports has turned over a new leaf and they'll be more competitive. You're looking there at the ride that won the championship last year with Brooke Allen behind the wheel, but Brooke Allen now down the Pizza Deck Series. Rookie Holly Davis will be making her Hersheys Cup Series debut, piloting the number 3 Budweiser Chevrolet. So it'll be our first time seeing Holly Davis. We'll have to see what she can bring to the table. We always know Michael Norman Motorsports has really good cars when we come to the super speedways. Sean Galligan sat on the pole position for the Daytona 500 here back in Season 4. Galligan was the highest finishing driver in the point standings to not make the playoffs last year. Finished 18th overall with a win, 4 top 5s, and 11 top 10s. And Galligan now for Kyotech Racing. We'll have to see what he'll be able to do. Being sponsored by GT Sport on his number 44 car. Kind of a throwback to a car that is actually in that game. Dougie Shears last season ended up finishing out the year 3rd in the point standings in the Pizza Deck Series with a win, 3 top 5s, 6 top 10s, and makes his return back to the Hersheys Cup Series for Michael Norman Motorsports. So we'll have to see what Dougie Shears is going to be able to do here, as he didn't exactly have the best of years back when he ran in the charter system in the 21 for Michael Norman Motorsports. So we'll see how he does this year. Certainly a lot of confidence you got to think for that team, especially with the year they had last year in Pizza Hut X Series. There's his teammate, Daniel Gilbert. That's a driver that would love to have a comeback season. Gilbert last year, one season after making the playoffs, finished 35th in the point standings, only 5 top 5s and 8 top 10s. So certainly looking for a big bounce back year. And right here, he's in the back of this lead group here, this group of cars. If he can catch with them, he could lay down a pretty fast lap time. Right now, he is 22nd on the charts. John Cittadino makes his return to the Hersheys Cup Series. Cittadino driving the Red Dead Redemption 2 number 72 Camaro. Cittadino ran full-time back in, I believe, was Season 2 and Season 3 of the Hersheys Cup Series, and also ran part-time as a non-charter driver back in Season 4. He was a teammate, actually, at the time with Seth Cole and the eventual champion of the Hersheys Cup Series that year, Matt Haas. Jordan Anderson, one of the 2 rookies that didn't find victory lane last season, but he had such a consistent year. Former Pizza Deck Series champion, finished 21st in the point standings, 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s. He and Shane Lake were the only 2 rookies that didn't find victory lane last season. He's back for a second full-time year with Fitzwater Australia Racing. See if we can find people we haven't talked about. There's your current pole sitter, Levi McIntyre, 44.516. Currently has him atop the leaderboard in terms of speed. Right now, he would be sitting on the inside of the front row for the Great American Race. Levi McIntyre ran the last 2 seasons for his own team of Metal Maniacs Motorsports. Formerly was with Young Motorsports and now has moved back over to a team of Young Motorsports. So now Young Motorsports a 4-car team. It looks like they've given him a pretty fast Ford Fusion at this point in time. So we'll see if he can still stay atop the speed charts as he looks to start on his very first Great American Race pole position. Looking at Chris Dollerton there in the 83. Dollerton, one of the Pizza Hut X Series drivers from last year that moves up to the Hersheys Cup Series by not finishing top 5 in the point stands. He finished out the year 11th in the points in Pizza Hut X Series with a win, 4 top 5s, 9 top 10s, but it was enough to impress the team owner at CJ Racing to bring him up here, replacing Leon Alvarez. And Chris Dollerton will be running, I believe, his first full-time season in the Hersheys Cup Series. The last time we saw him in the Hersheys Cup was back, I believe, Season 4 when he drove a Honda for Axiom Rage Motorsports, that number 12 Liberty University Honda back in the day. And I should mention as well, we already talked about Cole Baker, but he is also a former pole sitter for the Daytona 500, sitting on the pole back in Season 3. Trying to find anybody we may not have talked about. There's somebody we should talk about, Joseph Srigley. Now, Srigley did not have a career year last year, but he was probably the best driver in the field that didn't make the playoffs. And if he had made the playoffs, Srigley could very well have been our champion. Srigley finished out last season second highest of drivers that didn't make the playoffs. He finished in the 19th position in points. But look at these stats. He didn't find victory lane, but 11 top 5s and 16 top 10s. That was the top of the leaderboard for both of those statistics last year. The next highest behind his 11 top 5s was 8 top 5s. That just shows how good this team was last season. And Srigley this year, we'll have to see if maybe he can continue on that momentum, especially that he had during the close of the year. So we'll keep tabs on him. Dylan Pote, we just saw him hit pit road. Now he's leaving pit lane. Number 31 out of Tweenix Racing. Now Pote was really on fire near the beginning of the season. He led the overall point standings heading into the All-Star race break. But after that, things just really fell apart for that team. And he was so far down in the point standings that even his early win that year did not count towards a spot in the playoffs. So Pote finished out the year 25th in the points, 1 win, 7 top 5s, and 12 top 10s with 2 poles. And right now, Dylan Pote, things not exactly getting better for him. He is dead last currently on our speed charts, and that almost got even worse for him as he almost made contact there with John Cittadino. Filing through the field here, seeing if there's anyone we haven't yet talked about. There's Brandon Gonzalez, the Nissan Maxima. We saw him in last night's clash. Gonzalez made the playoffs last year with a win at Eldora, 3 top 5s and 10 top 10s, but he finished 15th overall, looking to get his first multi-win season of his career this year for his team out of Gonzalez Motorsports. Got some cars sitting on pit road there, Holly Davis and some others. Benjamin Miles. There's a couple drivers right there we haven't talked about. Benjamin Miles last year finished 5th overall, almost made it into the Final Four with a win, 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and a pole. Benjamin Miles really good at the super speedways. I believe he had a win at, was it? No, I was going to say he won last year at Talladega, but I believe it was the season before where they won at Talladega. So he's really good at these super speedways. Right now, though, just trying to find some speed. He is 41st on the charts. Shane Lake, back in his second full-time season, was a rookie last year for Fitzwater Australia Racing before breaking off to his own single-car team of Dog Pound Incorporated. This season also running for DPI, and right now 33rd on the speed charts. Lake finished out the year 23rd overall in the point standings with 4 top 5s and 8 top 10s. As we mentioned, he and Jordan Anderson were the only 2 drivers last year as rookies that did not go to victory lane. There's our Clash winner. He's 5th on the charts right now, Dylan Young. Probably the same car he won the Clash in. And look at up at the top of the leaderboard. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but JT Bryant just dislodged his teammate Levi McIntyre for the pole. Right now it's a Young Motorsports 1-2 for the front row. A 44.300 for JT Bryant. We already documented last night in the Clash about Dylan Young with 2 wins early on in the year last season, but once the playoffs came around, Dylan Young ended up being outside the top 30 of the points, so those 2 wins didn't count towards a playoff position. I think now I've introduced everybody that's in this field. Just going to do a quick sweep through to double check, but I believe I've gotten them all. There's your front row right there in your shot. JT Bryant and Levi McIntyre. We'll jump back to those guys in just a moment, but I'm just going to cycle through the field and make sure that I have documented everybody. It looks like I have. So we'll go back and find the 22 and the 99, who right now would be your front row for the Daytona 500. And talk about a team turning up the heat at the beginning of the season. Dylan Young winning last night's Clash. And right now they've got 2 drivers sitting on the front row for the Daytona 500. Bryant in the 22, McIntyre in the 99. Dylan Young not too far behind there. He is 5th fastest on the charts. And I don't know where the 4th entry Cody Smart's currently at. He's currently scored 28th fastest. McLeod, for a good portion of this session, was sitting 2nd to Levi McIntyre. Now he's dropped to 3rd, so his spot is not guaranteed in the starting lineup. And if you took these 2 cars and reversed them, one on the inside, one on the outside, you would basically be looking at how they would look coming down to take the green flag for the Great American Race, with Bryant on the pole and McIntyre on the outside of the front row. Both these drivers hoping that these remaining 8 seconds go by very quickly. Both of them would lead their respective duels to their green flags and would have to survive in order to make sure they would start on the front row, and it looks like that's going to be the case. Wow, talk about a team on fire. Young Motorsports. Young with the win in the Clash, and it will be an all-Young Motorsports front row for the Great American Race with JT Bryant on the pole and Levi McIntyre in second. Ford only has, I believe, 6 entries this year with the 4 Young Motorsports cars. Daniel Voiles 26 and Keith Batson's 39. They're greatly outnumbered by the Chevrolets, but making a statement here today, putting 2 blue ovals on the front row, and I believe the session is going to be coming to a close here in just a moment. Yeah, we've got 30 seconds remaining before the standings will be official. You got Ford, Ford, Chevy, Chevy, Ford, Chevy, 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 Toyota, Chevy in your top 10. So you've got 3 Fords and 1 Toyota and 6 Chevrolets. JT Bryant, for the first time in his career, will be leading them down to the green flag for the Daytona 500 and becomes the 7th different pole sitter as the session is now complete. So joining Charles Sanford, Joshua Michaels,
drivers to your cars,
Cole Baker, Sean Galligan, Kat Tellier, and Zachary Fitzwater as a Daytona 500 pole sitter, JT Bryant will join the ranks, and he, along with teammate Levi McIntyre, will be the front row for this year's Daytona 500. They will start on the poles for their respective duels, and you can see down through the remainder of the results, whoever ended up having an odd number in front of their name, they'll be in Duel 1. Whoever has an even number in front of their name will be in Duel 2. So our top 10 for Duel 1 will be JT Bryant, James McLeod, Dylan Young, Kyle Matthews, Scott Roush, Benny Watson, John Cittadino, Holly Davis, Kev Shearer, and Jordan Lopez. For Duel 2, it will be Levi McIntyre, Jake Baskinger, Jordan Anderson, Zachary Fitzwater, Anthony McCurry, John Arndt, Charles Sanford, Joshua Osborne, Cole Baker, and RJ Reynolds. Good qualifying runs for all 4 of our rookies there, to be honest. If you look, actually ignore the rookie thing after Dougie Shears. I don't know why I didn't take that off. Shears is not a rookie. But you got Scott Roush in 9th, Holly Davis in 15th, Joshua Osborne in 16th, and Jordan Lopez in 19th. So not bad qualifying spots for those 4 rookies. And you look down here through the remainder of our qualifying results, and boy, look at some of these names down here. Tim Walsh, Benjamin Miles, 2 drivers that were in the playoffs last year, and you've also got Dylan Pote there, 42nd. Also a couple of former Daytona 500 winners down near the bottom of this list in 35th and 36th. Chris Dodd, the winner of this race back in Season 5, and Dallas McIntosh, the defending winner of this race. So it's not where you start, it's where you finish, and certainly the duels will shake up the starting grid as well, but we do know, at least if they survive their respective duels, it will be JT Bryant on the pole for the Great American Race alongside of teammate Levi McIntyre. That's going to do it here for pole day qualifying for the Daytona 500 in the Hersheys Cup Series. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. We have shown you the qualifying results, and now we will determine the remainder of the starting grid for the Daytona 500 with tomorrow's Can-Am duels. 2 dual races should be a lot of fun. Then we follow it up with the season opening race for the Coors Light Truck Series, followed by the Pizza Deck Series season opener, and cap off this weekend with the 7th annual running of the Hersheys Cup Series Daytona 500. Till then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching a production of the NCRA Offline Racing at its Best. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the Can-Am Duel.